Are we live? Hi. Are we live? Okay. Okay, that's good.
When is it starting?
It started.
Okay. How much should we do?
Hello. Hi guys. Hi. Super. Thanks, Avni. Thanks. Now the disturbance isn't there. Now it's good, right? Am I audible well and clear? Okay. So let's start, guys. Okay, so this is a session that I'm taking. It's a series of 4 sessions that I'm taking on how to construct a brand playbook. Right? Now, why do we need a brand playbook? Because a brand is very, very important. And constructing a brand playbook is not about some abstract things like, oh, what colors is it going to be, or what is the logo, or what is the tagline. A brand is not just that. The reason why we construct a brand playbook is because it must serve as the Bible. It must serve as the Bible for everything that the brand is about. Okay, now how many of you think that a brand is important in the first place? That it's important to have something, to have a structured approach or a structured playbook in the first place. So I'll come to what is a playbook, but something that's documented on everything that the brand is about. Give me a yes in the chat box. How many of you think that a brand deserves the respect of actually being put down in the form of a document that everybody can refer to, so that there is one version of truth of the brand? Give me a yes in the chat box. Good. Exactly. It is very important, and it's important because a brand is absolutely everything that we are. So we are going to do these 4 sessions, starting with defining your market and competition, and that's what I'm going to speak on today. The second session that we will do will be on defining your vision, mission, and brand purpose. So in the second session that I do, I'll explain what each of these words mean, but it is very, very important that this be put down and this be articulated in exactly the same way by absolutely everybody in the organization, right? Then the third session that we do will be on, do you know your consumer? You must know who your consumer is, because if you don't know who your consumer is, then you don't know whose problem you are solving. And the fourth is, what is the problem that you're solving? Are you clear on what is the functional benefit? What is the emotional benefit? And why will consumers believe that you can in fact deliver that benefit, right? So these are the 4 sessions that we're going to do on constructing a brand playbook, which means each of these 4 bits must be captured in what we call a book, so that everything is clearly documented and you know exactly what you are doing. You know what my company's vision mission is. You know who my competition is. I know who my consumer is. I know what problem I'm solving. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Give me a yes. What is Rohit written? Rohit said yes, it's very important. That's why we interchange it with categories. Like Fevicol. I didn't understand what that means. Then we've got a lot of yeses from Saptaswa, Avni, Navneet, Jagdish. Jagdish, I don't have the fan on. Ashu, thank you for all being here. Excellent. So let's start with the first session. Yes? So we're going to do 4 courses. These are all going to be live projects, and I would like to see you at each one of these live projects. I promise they will be very, very interesting, and more than just being valuable learning, they'll also be very, very entertaining. We all like to be entertained. After all, what is marketing if it's not entertaining, right? Yes? So the first one is, how big you get depends on how big your playground is. Do you agree? Give me a yes. Give me a big capital yes. Yes in capitals in the chat box. Yes, brands are important. Absolutely, Rohit. Thank you for that. So give me a yes in the chat box in capitals if you think how big you get depends on how big your playground is. Absolutely, it is. Because if your playground is small, which is if the field on which you're competing is small, then even if you become a king of that field, you'll still be small. You know, do you want to become the king in the puddle, or would you rather be a small fish in a very, very big ocean? Because if you aim big, then you get big, and this is applicable for life in general as well, right? When you aim big, you get big. When you aim small, then you can only be small. So how big we get depends on how big our playground is. Now, I want to make sure that all of you understand right at the very outset, how big your playground is does not mean that I become just anybody, that I don't have anything distinctive or differentiative about me. It doesn't mean that everybody should become a commodity. No. It's about, when we talk about the playground, and this is what this session is going to be about, the playground can be the mind. The playground can be about changing behavior. The playground can be a particular habit. The playground does not have to be only the market as is conventionally understood. So let's understand this better. Now, if you look at this slide, this talks about you can be a brand that is aiming for a small share in a very big playground, which is this circle on the left hand side, right? And let's say you're a brand that is aiming to be only 2% of a very, very large playground, versus a brand that says, look, I'm happy to be small and I'm happy to be a 50% or a 20 to 40% player in a playground that is much smaller. Okay? Now, when you do that, let's look at numbers. If you were to put numbers to this, the first one, the market could be as large as 30,000 crores. And that is in fact roughly the size of the branded snacking market in India today. It's about 30,000 crores. Now, if I'm yet another snack, I could become 2%, and I aim to be 2% of this 30,000 crores. One could argue 2% doesn't sound to be like a very tall ambition, but 2% of a market that big is still very big, because if I aim to be 2%, then I become 600 crores. Versus if I were to aim to be even to have dominant share, with 20 to 40%, one could argue I will have dominant share as big as 50 crores of a market that is all of 500 crores, I'm still only 50 crores. Does this concept make sense to all of us? When I'm playing big and I'm aiming for a small percentage of a very large market, I'm still in absolute revenue, I'm still much bigger. As a company, I'm still much bigger versus being the king in a puddle, where even if I get to 20 to 40% of a small market, I'm still all of 50 crores. Yes, does this make sense? Super. So with this, I want to show you an example of exactly what this means via brands. So here is, Cracks Curl. So Cracks is yet another snack brand, right? And one could argue, yes, it's yet another snack brand. They are competing in the snacking market. But Cracks is still a much, much, much bigger brand than a specialty product like Epigamia. Now, Epigamia, I must tell you, has actually done exceedingly well. It is one of the only flavored yogurts in the market. So in its own way, and it's also scaled up rapidly fast. But if Epigamia were to say, not that they are saying it, but if they were to say that my market is only the branded yogurt market, then they're limiting the size of their ambition, right? Because the snacks market is huge. The snack market is as large as 30,000 crores. But the branded yogurt market is estimated to be between 500-600 crores. So if Epigamia were to play only in that market, then they are limiting their ambition. Over a period of time, whatever they might do, they will only get to being that big. However, what Epigamia has actually done is that they've chosen to go out and play in the snacking market. Isn't that interesting? Epigamia has understood that if I were to play in a puddle, then I will only remain, my ambition will only be limited to that puddle. So Epigamia has chosen to play big. And how have they chosen to play big? Let me show you a commercial of theirs which they have come out with not too far back with Deepika Padukone.
Is this lactose free?
See this commercial, and if it's well audible to you, give me a yes in the chat box so I know that you can actually see this commercial.
Carb, listen to me. What's going on आजकल? लोग पकाते ज़्यादा है, खाते कम. Have a heavy breakfast before you start the day. मैंने सुना है skipping breakfast is the best. ये gluten free में मिलेगा. कोई मांगे omega 3, तो कोई excuse me, is this lactose free? Eating every 2 hours is a must. If you ask me, intermittent fasting really works. Low carb, no carb. Refined carb. What carb? This carb, that carb. बाप रे बाप. एक ही तो लाइफ है, खुल के खाओ यार. किसी की advice? Eat या. Listen to me. Don't listen to anybody except your body. The world of food is a noisy place. और खाने के topic पर everyone has a view. Just relax and let's balance the stomach chatter and mind matter with Epigamia Greek yogurt. Freshness of yogurt meets the goodness of fruits. Epigamia, your happy balance.
So you see over here what Epigamia is aiming to do is they're not competing versus other yogurts. They have clearly expanded their ambition. Is my voice still echoing, guys? Shivam? Is my voice still echoing? Guys, give me an answer in the chat box. Is my voice still echoing? Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Perfect. So let's carry on. We're now on, so now we've understood how a brand like Epigamia has in fact expanded its ambition, and they've reflected that in the commercial that I just showed, right? Now, every product or service solves an unsolved problem, right? And or it could deliver a solution in a delightfully new way, right? But you must know what you are solving for, and you must also know that if you're solving for something, then there is certainly something that the consumer is doing in its place today. It could be anything, whether the consumer is using a competing product, or the consumer is behaving in a certain way, or the consumer is resorting to other alternatives. Whatever the consumer might be doing, that is your competition. Okay, now I'll explain this better with the example of a soft drink. Okay, now here let's say it could be Pepsi, and Pepsi says that my ambition is that I must help my consumer. I must help the youth of this country to belong to the cool, right? If Pepsi says that I want to help everybody belong to the cool, then Pepsi's competition could be anything that makes me look cool. It could be styling products. It could be a certain language that the college goers use to make themselves look cool, which nobody really understands. This strange, not just emoticon, there are so many other words which nobody gets. I certainly don't. And there are a whole lot of gadgets that they buy, so many different apps that they use. Anything that is used to belong to the cool would be Pepsi's competition. Okay, now over here I want to show you one commercial that Pepsi had made a very, very long time back, which was probably aligned to this thinking. It is a very old commercial, but I still want to show it to you to help you understand how Pepsi has imagined its competition to possibly be everything that helps a youth feel cool. Okay, here is it.
Wow, be my lover, Bubbly. Hey Bubbly, oh yeah Bubbly, be my lover, Bubbly.
Hey Bubbly, सुन, I wanna be your lover, Bubbly. I wanna be your man. समझा कर यार, please.
So I'm not playing this full commercial, A, because the quality of the commercial is really bad, it's very, very old, and B, I don't particularly like this commercial. But you get an idea of what I'm trying to say, right? That Pepsi has actually tried to belong to the cool. It's trying to not trying to belong to the cool, but Pepsi is trying to help everybody be. I mean, Pepsi is trying to be the cool, and hence anything else that belongs or that helps you do that would be its competition. Let's look at it another way. If Pepsi were to say, or let's say any cold drink were to say that the primary benefit that I deliver is I refresh, I quench thirst, right? Then what would its competition be? What do you think its competition would be? It's there on the slide, but I'd like to hear it from you. If Pepsi were to say, I'm a refreshing drink, put it in the chat box. What do you think a soft drink's primary competition could be? The most obvious competition. Quickly in the chat box. Anything that refreshes, any liquid that refreshes, right? It could be any juice, it could be Nimbu Pani, it could be cold Glucon-D, it could be a glass full of ice. It can be anything that refreshes. And this is exactly the thinking that Coca-Cola took. Coca-Cola wanted to own the whole playing field of anything that refreshes, of any beverage that refreshes. And if you guys might remember, there was, thank you for that Shivam, absolutely, fruit juices, all beverages that take care of a thirst, Avni, exactly, water, it could be, yes, anything. It could, like I said, it could even be just a glass full of ice on a really hot day. Today apparently it's 46 degrees over here in Gurgaon. So, you know, I've been sipping on iced water all day. All of that would be Pepsi or Coke's competition. Because Pepsi and Coke would ideally want that on a hot day like this when it's 46 degrees, you be sipping only on a Pepsi or a Coke, right? Or on a soft drink. For the category as a whole to thrive, they'd want that on a day like this, we should be only reaching out for a cold soft drink. And hence, Coke came out with this lovely Amir Khan commercial, which I'm sure a lot of you remember. It was Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola. It was one of the commercials. Hang on, let me play it right from the beginning. I absolutely love this commercial. Just because it's strategically so sound. You know, when we say Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola, Thanda is the language of the masses. Everybody understands Thanda. You know, when somebody comes home, you always ask people, aap chai lenge, aap Thanda lenge. And Coke wanted to own the word Thanda. Coke wanted to become the dominant leader in the category that is defined as Thanda. And Thanda is a very big word because Thanda encompasses almost everything. Everything other than hot chai and coffee is Thanda. And that's what Coke defined as their playing field. That was Coke's competition. And hence, they came with this very simple commercial which said, Thanda matlab Coca-Cola.
ए बाल की दुकान चले ठंडा दे शक्कर देख क्या रहा है बाहर है ना ए अबे तो आदमी है कि अंडा तेरे से ठंडा मांगा ना ठंडा ये बिना टेरेस की बिल्डिंग फोड़ू कैन बॉम हाँ तेरे से ठंडा मांगना क्या ला रहा है भाई लेकिन ठंडा ही तो है अबे फ्लावर पॉट ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला समझा ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला हाँ अब बोल ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला हाँ ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला हाँ
Now you see,
ये बाल की दुकान
they could have actually taken on, like Hari Krishna has said, they could have taken on coconut water, they could have taken on juices, they could have taken on anything. Even in this commercial, in what they've shown in this commercial, they could have shown anything else. But they were probably taking a more conservative approach. They didn't want people to, or they didn't want to sort of antagonize people by saying, you know, by sort of dissing coconut water or juice or nimbu pani that people hold very close to their heart. But they've done a damn good job of establishing that Thanda matlab Coca-Cola. So if this were to become common parlance, then when people think of Thanda, they would think of Coca-Cola. So what they've done in this process is that they've defined their playing field and they've also clearly communicated to consumers that that is what we mean. When you think of Thanda, you should think of Coca-Cola. Here is another one. You know, we also know that a lot of consumers actually prefer a CSD, a carbonated soft drink, when they have khana, when they look at it as a perfect meal companion. Why? Because there is just so much of, you know, of carbon in it that it gives you that burp. I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. Give me a boom boom in the chat box if you know what that big burp is after you've had a Pepsi with a meal. I wish I could make that sound, but I can't. That would be gross. But give me a boom boom in the chat box if you know what that burp feels like when you have a cold drink with a big meal. Thank you, Agni. Exactly. So Pepsi wanted to own that burp because that is really big. There is a lot of us in a country like India who want a carbonated soft drink. Exactly, majorly with biryani. Absolutely, absolutely. Who want a carbonated soft drink with our khana, right? And Pepsi said that we are going to become the king of that space. We will become the best friend of the meal. And so their whole strategy for the time that I was there with them, and I think even now, is primarily about being Khana's best friend. That I almost can't not have Khana without a Pepsi by my side. Imagine if Pepsi were to actually own that space. They're not defining their competition as Coca-Cola. They're not defining their competition as any other soft drink. They're defining their competition as the drink that you have or anything that you have with your meal that gives you the satisfaction of a big burp. So whether it's a lassi or a kanji or a salad or even that pickle that a lot of the Rajasthanis have, or many other parts of the country, you know, the pickle which has a whole lot of ajwain and saunf and jeera and all of that, which you have along with the meal only because you want to feel that everything's gone down and settled. That's what they're competing against. And hence, they came with this really fun commercial which...
Loosen the cord.
Wait, hang on. Let me play the commercial for you. Here's the one. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's a really fun commercial. You must.
और वापस मत आ जियो भाई, अगर एक समोसा मिल जाता तो कार को जाके खा लियो ना समोसे।
रुक, मैं आता हूँ।
अबे जल्दी।
भैया, 2 समोसे। अबे जल्दी ना। अबे हट।
हाँ भाई, ध्यान रखियो।
ओए चूचे।
क्या भाई, सूखे?
ओए चूचे। फिर पेप्सी। आओ भाई, टिकट। भाई कॉल करता रही।
Isn't it so cool? I smile every time I see this commercial. I just love it. Do you guys also love this commercial? Do you like this commercial? It's one of my favorite commercials on Pepsi. Basically, I love this line, which is "Sukhe sukhe." Bhai, you know, it's so simple. It's so simple. Basically, how can you have a meal that's sukha sukha? Without Pepsi, it's all sukha sukha. They're trying to own this space of having a drink with your food. And you know, if you think about it, in a lot of meals, in a lot of cultures, they say अगर खाने में कोई गीली सब्जी ना हो तो खाना नहीं खाया जा सकता. You know, कुछ गीला होना चाहिए. And Pepsi is trying to own this space. See, without Pepsi तो आपका खाना सूखा सूखा रह गया. So सूखा सूखा ही is a line that has the potential to actually seep into popular culture, which is why it's actually very, very powerful. So over here, if you see, Pepsi's defined its competition as everything that is gila with a meal, anything that helps you become, anything that gives me the satisfaction of a burp, anything that is had with a meal necessarily, because it makes the meal feel complete. Right? Okay. Now over here, I want to take this example of, I've been watching a lot of Shark Tank with my son during this lockdown. And in one of the episodes, there was this pitch that a couple made for a product, which is basically, it's like a bib that a man wears. a bearded man wears when he wants to clip his beard hair. And he pins up this bib onto the sink in the bathroom, because when you're clipping your bearded hair, as you can imagine, you can make a lot of mess in the bathroom, and it's ugly to deal with all of that mess, right? And if you had this bib of sorts that you could use so that all of the mess is collected in the bib and it's not all over the place, then that would be a great product. Exactly, I love Shark Tank too. Yes. So I want to show you this this video of what this product is about. Okay, how to use the beard bib. Now, what's interesting about this is that when they came and presented on Shark Tank, at that time, the shark said, so what's the big deal about this? You're presenting a beard bib, and how far can you go with a beard bib? How many beard bibs can you sell after all? It's just about keeping the bathroom clean. And that's when this woman, because there are a couple who pitched for this, she said, look, our ambition is to maximize sink share. And when she said that our ambition is to maximize sink share, that's when all the sharks sort of sat up in their seats and started listening to them carefully, because it was a signal of how they are viewing their market. What is their market? Their market, as they're defining it, is everything that goes into the sink. They're looking to maximize sink share. It was a very interesting term, and that's what actually won them the investment in that episode. They actually went home with $100,000. So I'll show you this little video of what this product is for those of you.
And pull the contents out of the
I hadn't
pouch.
seen it
Then
before I saw
attach
Shark
the
Tank.
neck straps. Stick the suction cups to the mirror, then move the levers down. Next, begin your normal grooming regimen. If you need to stop and step away during grooming, hang the neck straps to the lever hooks. Once completed, flip the suction cup levers up and remove. Lower over the trash can and gently shake. Now, we package the contents back into the pouch. You are now the king of your castle, bearding responsibly. Fear the beard, not the mess. Beard King.
I love the attitude in this. Now, their product doesn't end with a Beard King bib. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. So, thank you for that, Avni. If you see, when they articulate their ambition as maximizing sink share, think of everything that goes into the sink. Think of everything. Give me some uninhibited replies on all that goes into the sink. I wouldn't think poorly of you. Tell me in the chat box, guys, what all can go in the bathroom sink. I'm not going to be judging you. Hi Banshi. Tell us. So what all could go into the sink? It could be the foam of the toothpaste when you're brushing your teeth. It could be the nose booger for those of us who stand at the sink and pick our noses. That's the right place to pick your nose, incidentally. And you put that into the sink. What else do you put into the sink? If you put on a face mask and you're washing off the face mask, then that too goes into the sink. What else? Face wash, yes. Quite a lot of toxins, yes. So all of that muck is going into the sink. And if a company were to say that my ambition is to maximize sink share, then actually what it's saying is that anything that goes into the sink, I'm going to find solutions for that. And that will spell out my long-term strategy for growth. Now, the only thing is that over here, with a name like Beard King, they're a little limited in their possibilities, because it seems to suggest that they're going to be kings of the beard and beard only. And I, for example, wouldn't be able to grow a beard even if I wanted to. But stating their ambition to be to maximize the sink share says that they have the ability to think differently. And that is what makes entrepreneurs big. That is what makes entrepreneurs different. That is what gets them to bigger places, because they have the ability to think differently. So yes, Shivam, beard hair or face wash foam or spitting, yes, absolutely, Agni. So all of that is our possibilities. Now, here's another example. IKEA says that its ambition is to maximize its share of peace of mind at home. I really like this. IKEA is not saying my competition is other furniture. IKEA is not saying my competition is other beautiful things that can be kept in the house. No. IKEA is not even saying anything functional is my competition. IKEA is actually stating its ambition to be share of peace of mind at home. And look at the commercial. There is this lovely piece that they've done. I'm not going to play all of it because we're running out of time and I have a lot to tell you.
Space. There's only so much. And when you run out, that's it. Or is it? Space you have, 24 hours a day. It's a living room. It's a playroom. You better make it easy to clean up. So what if we get a little creative with a space like this? Does a living room really need a sofa? And being together is a good thing, right? So let's try something completely different. Here are 6 friends. To make the motor that does more than one thing. And it works, no matter how much or how little space you have. It's not about giving up your dreams. It's about shrinking them, just a little bit.
So see, it does a fantastic job. It's telling you about how even in that little space we can do a lot. There are so many possibilities and all of that adds up to peace of mind. I just really like the way they've articulated what their ambition is. Look at Cadbury's. Cadbury is one of the, it's a not so recent commercial, but it's, of course, Cadbury's has been taking on the Meetha. And, Cadbury's wants to become the Meetha. They're basically aiming to compete against all of the mithai, because mithai is so ingrained in Indian culture. When there's, anything shubh is associated with mithai, and Cadbury's has always tried to own that. But I want to draw your attention to a particular commercial which shows that Cadbury's could also, now this is another way of just expanding your mind to possibilities. Cadbury says, it could say that my ambition is to maximize my share of the I love you moments. So I'll show you this commercial. Look at what Cadbury's has done. Every time you want to tell somebody I love you and you find it difficult to express yourself because it's not the easiest thing to say sometimes when you feel woozy about somebody, you can actually use a chocolate. Here's that commercial. It's a lovely commercial.
When was the last time you said I love you to me?
क्या?
तुमने मुझे last time I love you कब बोला?
अभी?
अभी मतलब?
अभी बोला ना I love you.
ये तो तुम मुझे रोज देते.
खाने के बाद मीठे में कुछ.
Isn't that so terribly sweet? Just to know that you guys are all alive and listening and still interested, can you put an I love you in the chat box for me? Show me a little love. Quickly, 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 give me an I love you in the chat box. Yes, we will have many more classes, Shivam. Stay tuned. So, thank you, Avni. I think there's a bit of a lag. I'm sure there are many more of you who expressed heartily how much you love me. Thank you. So now let's look at another example. Snickers. Snickers is not saying its competition is yet another chocolate. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Deepika and Hari and Keshav. Thank you. So coming to Snickers. Snickers is not saying my ambition is yet another chocolate. Snickers is saying my ambition is to maximize the share of small hunger. They've defined their competition as small hunger. So anything that is had to satisfy small hunger, whether it's a samosa or the dhokla or anything that you reach out for in the fridge or any sort of a snack, it could even be a packet of chips that you reach out for, anything that satisfies small hunger is their competition. And they say, they've hit upon this lovely consumer insight that when you're hungry, you're not quite yourself. You can behave very strange when you're hungry. And they have this commercial. I'm sure all of you have seen.
रॉकी यार दम लगा ना।
ओह,
मेरे हाथ जल गए। तुम लोग ही पुश करो इस बैलगाड़ी को, मुझसे नहीं होगा।
इसे क्या हो गया? ड्रामा। चालू हो जा मेरी डार्लिंग।
तेरी डार्लिंग तो वैसे ही चालू है।
अबे तेरी प्रॉब्लम क्या है?
एक मिनट। रॉकी, तू स्निकर्स खा।
क्यों?
क्योंकि तुझे भूख लगती है ना, तो तू हीरोइन बन जाता है। अब ठीक है? ठीक है।
हंगर अच्छे अच्छों को बदल देता है। स्निकर्स में है नट्स, चॉकलेट और कैरमल। हंग्री, ग्रैब अ स्निकर्स।
Isn't that so cute? It's fantastic. So, I want to quickly come to the framework on what is it that we're actually here to learn. We're here to learn how can I expand my mind to possibilities. How can I actually think big? Because if I don't think big, then I can't play big. And if I don't play big, then I don't become big. So to become big, you've got to be able to think big. And to be able to think big, you need some support. And here is what I've got. Let's look at Kurkure, my brand, which I feel very, very, very affectionately about. Kurkure is a snack brand. Of course, we all know what Kurkure is. Now, if we were to think of what Kurkure's competition could be, we can use this framework, which you can actually apply to everything else, and we'll actually do exercises together. Kurkure's competition could be, if you were to think of the what could be all other products that are also in this category. So this framework is a very, very simple framework. It simply says that we can apply the thinking on what is competition in the framework of the what, why, when and where. Okay? Rohit, I'll come to your question later. Maybe you and I can connect separately. What you've asked is very relevant and I'll give you the answer, but not in this session. Coming back to the framework. So this framework is the what, why, when and where framework. And if you think of the what is simply who are the others in the category. So Kurkure could say everybody else, any other snack is my competition, whether it's a Lay's or a Bingo Mad Angles or Oh Yes, Cracks, anything that is another branded snack packet is my competition, right? The other way that Kurkure could think of its competition is what is the need or the desire that I serve. What do you think, what could be the desire that Kurkure as a brand could serve? We all know that a lot of us snack, not just because we are hungry, a lot of us actually snack when we're simply bored. Do we do that? Give me the truth. How many of us are akin to mindless snacking because we're simply bored? Have you ever done that? Give me an honest yes. When you're simply bored, you want to reach out for a packet of chips, and Kurkure we used to say, and it is entertainment in the mouth. There is it's sensorially so stimulating, starting from the aroma that you get from the bag as soon as you open the bag to the drama in your mouth that it creates. So a lot of us snack on rubbish, and that is why we all get fat. Why do we snack on rubbish? Not because we are hungry. No, we snack on rubbish because we are simply bored, or it may be because we are looking to kill time. I just have time on my hands. I don't know what to do, so I'm aimlessly walking to my pantry and reaching out for a bag of rubbish. It could be any kind of rubbish. So the desire being served over here is to kill boredom, or to kill anxiety, or to to simply kill time. And in that context, Kurkure could actually look at competition as anything that helps you kill boredom. If it's a little snack, it could be soup that is its competition, apart from the many other things that are used to kill small hunger. It could be a Sudoku puzzle or a Rubik's Cube if I'm simply looking to entertain myself, or I'm looking to stimulate myself with something, because I'm simply bored, and instead I could pick up a Sudoku puzzle. It could even be a sutta break that I take because I'm simply bored. And hence Kurkure's competition could in fact be defined by all of these things, So Kurkure could say my playing field is the field of killing boredom. And hence anything else that's used to kill boredom could be my competition. Kurkure could also say that when I think of the when, and I think of what specific occasion can I use or can I own, the when could be all family bonding occasions. So any occasion where family bonding is critical, or where you'd like the family to come together, Kurkure serves as the ideal solution for that occasion. So Kurkure's competition then is anything else that is used to bring the family together. Right? So in that context, Kurkure's competition could actually be a board game which serves to bring the family together. Kurkure's competition could be what else? It could even be pakoras. Everybody loves pakoras. It could be movie time. Absolutely. Thank you, Deepika, for that. It could even be Netflix time, although Netflix is very, very individualistic. But what else? Anything else that is used to bring the family together would be Kurkure's competition. And lastly, if Kurkure were to say that my competition is a place, a specific piece of real estate, a specific place, a special place that I'd like to own, Kurkure could say that I want to maximize my share of the tea tray, right? My share of the tea tray, which means Kurkure is saying anything that is served on the tea tray must necessarily have a bag of Kurkure on it. So my competition or my playing field is defined as the tea tray. Does that sound interesting to you guys? Do you think that it's a new way of looking at competition, where in the framework we're saying if you were to use the framework of the what, why, when and where, you open your mind up to different possibilities on how you could look at competition. And how you look at competition is very, very important, because how you look at competition actually defines what your ambition is as well. Okay? So now we're going to do this exercise for Netflix. Okay? Now, okay. Now, sorry, guys at LearnApp, can you help me? Where is this Word doc that people can download and work on? Is that a downloadable link which you just put on the chat? Yes. Perfect. So guys, can you download that? You see there is a link in the chat where if you click on that link, you will come to a Word document that is titled class +1 underscore plus frame something. If you download that link, download that Word document, it shows you this simple framework, and we're actually going to try this exercise for Netflix. Now, are you guys all with me? Have you been able to download that link? Excellent. Deepika has downloaded it. Shivam's downloaded it. Avni has. Yes. Are you all guys? Are you guys good? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply this framework for Netflix. Now let's think about what is Netflix obvious competition if we were to apply the lens of the what. The what being who else is playing the OTT platform. The obvious answers are, and you can put that down in the box that says competition. Who is Netflix's obvious competition? It is, yes, Amazon Prime. It is Hotstar. It is YouTube. Can you guys put it down in the chat box for me? Are you guys working at it? Yes? Now, what is the so what of this? If my competition is Amazon Prime, Hotstar, YouTube, what is the so what? The so what of this is how can I steal market share from these other from these other OTT platforms, right? And hence, my ambition could be, what do you think my ambition could be? Yes, absolutely, Rohit. Yes. Z5 Alt Balaji, that's right, Agni. Saptaswa, you try again, please. Yes, they've sent you the link again. Yes, television is the biggest competition. Yes, absolutely. And hence, in this space, what do you think Netflix's ambition could be in this context? That Netflix wants to maximize its share versus all other OTT platforms, right? So if you were to fill out that Word document, you'd actually be saying exactly this in the first column. You'd say you'd put down all the other OTT platforms as, or even television, as you're rightly saying, Shivam, would be your competition in under the what. The so what of it would be to maximize share. And your ambition hence is to be the king of the various other platforms, right? Now come to the why. So the first one is too obvious. Come to the why, or what is the need that Netflix serves? Give me interesting answers. Yes. Entertainment, yes. What is the need that Netflix serves? What do you think it's doing for the consumer? It's personalized entertainment, am I right? It's personalized entertainment at your fingertips. For a lot of us, it's also the me time. For me, it's my me time. Right? And that's what would go in the box right under the why. And hence, what could your competition be? What else do you look at to solve for, or to look to be entertained when you're looking to occupy your me time? What is that thing that you go to? It could be books, it could be games, it could be socializing, it could be various kinds of hobbies, it could even be a cup of tea by yourself. All of that hence is competition for Netflix. Because if I were to articulate that the need that Netflix serves is personalized entertainment, then books, game shows, socializing, all of that would be competition. And hence, what is the so what of that? The so what of that is how can I make the consumer shift from other forms of entertainment to Netflix? And hence, what could Netflix's ambition be? Give me interesting answers. Give me answers in the chat box. What could Netflix's ambition be? Yes, kill boredom could also be one of the whys for Netflix. Absolutely, Shivam. So Netflix's ambition could actually be, in this context, to maximize me time. That Netflix be the only option that consumers think of when they're looking to make the best of their me time. Does that make sense to you guys? Absolutely, Shivam. Absolutely. Be the one-stop solution for everyone's entertainment. It could also be the one-stop solution for my personal entertainment. The one-stop solution for my best me time. Now let's move to the next column, which is the when. Now, do you think Netflix, think of the when, think of a time band or think of an occasion. Do you think that there is an occasion or a time band that Netflix could aim to own? Think of your own selves. Is there a special time in the day which you see as your Netflix time? Put it in the chat box. Is there any special time in the day that you see as the Netflix time? For a lot of us, for me at a certain time, you know, when I used to use the metro a lot, my special Netflix time was actually that time when I traveled in the metro. In fact, I used to look forward to going to the metro only for this reason, to be able to, to be able to spend time with Netflix. Yes, lockdown time, free time, any free time, all right. The night time, absolutely. So Kunal, you and I are in this together. So for me, the 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., those 2 hours after dinner is when I want to reward myself with Netflix, because I tell myself I've done it's been a good day, I've done what I had to, now I deserve a little reward. So that time for me is my Netflix time. So if we were travel time, exactly, a whole night, yes, the whole night could be, yes, absolutely. Friday night, yes, brilliantly said, exactly. So Netflix could actually aim to own a particular time band. In that context, what would Netflix's competition be? Now, I want to hear creative answers. If it is the whole night, then what would Netflix's obvious competition would be sleep, for sure, and all sleep-related activities. What else could be Netflix's competition? It could even be that book that I curl up with at night after dinner. What else could Netflix's competition be if we were to own a particular time band? Let's say it's the 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. night band. News, yes, absolutely. If it's TV time for me and if it's news time for me, then news would be my competition, yes. Anything that keeps us occupied in that time, the 10 to 12, would be competition for us. And in that context, what do you think Netflix could define its ambition as? To maximize share of me time. To maximize share of the 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. time band, right? Am I making sense to you guys? Gymming, yes. I had a brand manager who would go gymming late in the evening after dinner. So yes, it could be gym time. A book or a phone call to a loved one at that time also could be competition, absolutely. So in this context, in the when, if you think of it, the when is your playing field. Netflix could actually define its playing field as the 10 p.m. to the 12 a.m. time band, or any sort of a time band. As many of you have written, It could be the gym time, which is defined as Senad has said, that gym time could be its playing field. Or it could be, well, the time that I listen to music and I instead play Netflix, yes, that could be competition, yes. So this is about owning a particular time band, right? Now let's come to the where. The where is quite simply, is there any special place that Netflix could aim to own? Okay, now if you think of place or you think of real estate in that sense, think about it. For us, when we're all bored, we typically mindlessly tend to go to apps like WhatsApp or other apps on our phone. Imagine if Netflix were to define its place, the where, as the mobile screen, and think of its competition as anything that distracts away from Netflix on the mobile screen. Is it true for a lot of us? A lot of us, when we are simply bored or restless, we're on mindless apps, especially WhatsApp for me, only because we're looking to kill time, because we're bored. And the phone has become an extension of ourselves now. And anything other than non-work, a lot of us are simply on the phone and we're going on various apps. And imagine if Netflix were to define its competition as anything on the phone that keeps me occupied in my non-work hours. And Netflix's playing field then becomes the mobile screen that keeps me entertained or engaged or non-bored in my non-work hours. Does that make sense? And in that context, Netflix's ambition could then be the only app that my thumb seeks in default mode. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes, money control for you, Deepika. Cool. So imagine for Netflix then, over here, in the case of Deepika, would be money control would be Netflix's competition. So like for you, it's money control. For Netflix, Netflix could then define its competition as everything that people go to otherwise or tend to go to without thinking on their phone. If Netflix were to maximize share of that, then they have significantly expanded their playing field. Then think of the kind of copies that they would come with, the kind of advertisements they would come with. Then they're looking to change behavior. They're looking to get people to look at Netflix as the only go-to option when my thumb is seeking to be entertained. Right? So that was an exercise that we've done with Netflix, and we're already past 7 o'clock. Now tell me guys, do you still have the energy to do another exercise? I've got Zomato. Would you like to do that exercise, or would you like me to give you a few other thought starters and we close? So if you'd like me to continue, give me a big yay in the chat box. If you feel that it's already been a heavy session and that you'd like to I think the Zomato exercise will take another 5-10 minutes. So give me a yay or a nay. A yay if you think we can carry on. Wow, that's a huge compliment to Learn app, Saptaswar. Okay, that's a lot of yeses that I'm getting. Okay, so let's try this exercise with Zomato now. Okay. So think of in the what. What is Zomato's obvious competition? What other products or what other, so now we're looking at Zomato in the context of being a food ordering and delivering platform. Don't think about Zomato's dine-in business, but specifically of Zomato as a platform where we order food and we look for options, food options. Okay. In that context, what would Zomato's immediate competition be? Give me the obvious answers. Quickly in the chat. Swiggy, yes. The most obvious one. So anything else, any other food delivery platform would be Zomato's competition, right? And the so what of that is, or Zomato's ambition could then be that versus all other food delivery platforms on the internet, I be the preferred platform that consumers go to, right? Which one could argue is, yes, an obvious way of defining one's competition, but it could possibly also not be as expensive versus thinking of some other options, which we will now look at. Now let's think of the why. What is the need that Zomato is serving? Now I want creative answers over here. What is the need? Thank you for that, Hari. Dunzo, Amazon Foods, Uber Eats, yes, absolutely. Domino's, yes. All of this is competition in the what. Now let's come to the next one. Absolutely, homemade food is competition. What is the need that Zomato is serving? What Zomato does is that it brings me my favorite food home. Am I right? Or to my office or wherever I am. I can go to that platform. I can look at the huge number of options that there are, and I can pick my favorite food, and I can rely on them to bring me my favorite food wherever I wish it to be. So the need that's being served over there is that of the convenience of favorite food at any time, at any place that I want it to be delivered at, right? Now in this context, you think of what could your competition be? What else serves the same need, which is that your favorite food is actually delivered to your office or wherever you are. It could also be the Mumbai Dabbawalas. If you're in Bombay, for example, the Mumbai Dabbawalas actually bring you khana that's been cooked by your wife or by your mom to your office. In that context, Zomato's competition could also be the Mumbai Dabbawalas. And hence, the so what of that Zomato could also look at would be, how can I replace the Mumbai Dabbawalas? And hence, its ambition could be to be the only option for procuring food from anywhere. Am I right? That also has implications on what they do to their business offering, but that does provide them a larger playing field, right? Which is my favorite food from anywhere is the playing field that Zomato looks at. Now let's think of the when. Is there a particular time band? Is there any special occasion? If you think of Zomato's business, which is about ordering in food, what do you think that there is a particular time band that they could look at? Zomato could say, yes, I deliver food all 24 hours. In that context, what could Zomato's competition be? If I'm thinking of different time bands, like my favorite food at any time, what would I do otherwise? What else would you do otherwise? You'd probably go to the kitchen and you'd open the fridge, you'd open the pantry and see, मैं क्या खा सकती हूँ, यहाँ पे क्या है, ready क्या है. Or let's say if it's any time, it could be that I drive out to a restaurant that's open at this time. If it's a strange time in the night and I've been pubbing and drinking and dancing all night, and at 3 a.m. I want to have dinner somewhere, then it is that 5-star that's that has an all-night buffet. All of that is competition to me, right? And hence the so what for Zomato could be, how can I build Zomato as the only option that anybody turns to when my tummy desires anything at all at any time. Right? And hence Zomato's ambition could be to convert all non-homemade food occasions to Zomato occasions. जब भी घर पे खाना ना बने या when you don't feel like cooking at home, all of those occasions be Zomato occasions. So again, we've significantly expanded the playing field. Our playing field is anything that is an occasion other than the homemade food occasion. Now think of the where. Now this could be a little tough, but if you were to think about again Zomato's ordering in business, what would a consumer otherwise do? You'd otherwise step out for food, right? What would a consumer otherwise do? You'd step out for food, and hence Zomato's playing field could actually be, its competition could be any other place outside of the house that serves food would be Zomato's competition, because Zomato wants to maximize eating out occasions within the home, right? Call restaurants or go out. Absolutely, Shivam, that's right. Now imagine if I could bring all of the restaurants home, and that's what Zomato helps me to do, which means Zomato's playing field then is the house, and it's looking to maximize not just share of occasions. What is Zomato's ambition in this case? Zomato wants to bring the outside world of dining out within the house. So Zomato's playing field is everything that serves food outside the house and bring it all in to the house. Exactly. Imagine if I could bring street food into the house. If I could bring all fine dining into the house. Then Zomato is looking at significantly expanding its playing field, and hence significantly also expanding its business potential for the future. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? The only idea of this framework is only to help you expand your mind to possibilities on how you can think about your competition. Because how you think about your competition defines how you will think about your business. It will have implications on what other business verticals you build out into the future. It doesn't mean, for example, that Kurkure should start launching Rubik's Cubes immediately, or that Kurkure should start making cigarettes. But if you're clear about what is the need you're serving, and you're clear about what my playing field is, then it gives you a framework also to figure about future launches. You're able to think about how I can look at brand expansion. What kind of brand extensions can I look at in the future? Now, what you launch when is a matter of strategy and choice. But you have a clearly defined ambition, and you know where you are going. You know what you could be 10 years, 20 years hence as a business. That's the idea of this framework. Now over here I have another just a very simple way of also expanding your mind to possibilities. If you think about, if you're struggling to figure what else is this category used for example, over here I've used mobile. If you were to actually use this technique which I call the think deprivation technique. Now this is very, very powerful as a tool in expanding your mind to what all are the various needs that are served by a particular product. If you could actually take it away, imagine if you had to live without your phone for 24 hours. If you were to study a consumer behavior and a consumer's mind frame, if the phone were to be taken away from him for 24 hours, how would he feel? It would give you a lot of insights on what this person's relationship with the phone is, and all of the different needs that a mobile phone actually serves for a consumer. The flip way of looking at this is think excess. There are consumers who are extreme users. Imagine a consumer, and there's actually a very interesting video that I've got, but we've run out of time terribly. Imagine a consumer who has an extreme relationship with chewing gum, and there is this guy who says he's tried out this experiment. He had chewing gum continuously for 30 days every day, and he says, why did he chew that chewing gum for 30 days every day in all of his waking hours? He was trying to acquire a more defined jawline. Isn't that interesting? Would we ever think about a chewing gum serving that need? A chewing gum that helps you to acquire a more defined jawline. In that context, a chewing gum's competition would be any kind of a diet. It could even be cosmetic surgery. It could even be any kind of facial yoga. It could even be camera filters or any sort of face apps that make you look pretty. All of that would then become the chewing gum's competition. The only reason why I'm showing you this is again to help you think of techniques, to use techniques that can specifically be applied to help you think of different ways of expanding the mind's, expanding to different possibilities, expanding your mind to different possibilities. Okay, guys. So now I'd also got Google Trends, but I'm going to end this session over here because I think it's become a really long session. We're at 17 minutes past 7. Any quick questions, anything that you'd like to ask me very quickly, put it down on the chat window. We'll close in another 3 minutes. Did you find this useful as a way of thinking about your competition? This simple framework that we've used of the what, why, when and where. Yes, Avni, it can also help in communication, absolutely, because when you know what your playing field is and you know where you're going to go, what your ambition is, that will determine what kind of copies you will come with, absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Saptasva. Gunjan, yes, thank you. So guys, you now have a, that Word document that you've got as a link, which you should keep with yourselves. It's a useful framework. It's also a very, very simple framework. You force yourself to think about my own business and how can I use this framework to define competition and hence arrive at my business ambition using this framework. You could possibly find yourselves going in many, many other new directions. All right. Shivam, we can certainly do this in zero budgets as well. And let's you and I connect separately and I'll tell you how we can do this in zero budgets. You don't need to have fat budgets at all. And I'm a great proponent of using marketing with little or no budgets. Marketing does not mean making pretty ad copies and spending a lot of money. That doesn't require too much brains. So no, you don't need fat budgets. I can work with you separately and I'll tell you how we can do this at little or no money. Thank you, Avni and Saptasva. Great. So should we now close this session, guys? All right, I'm going to say bye to all of you. Quick byes and then I will stop streaming.